Hi guys, it's Rose. Before we jump into the video, I have a little announcement and also I might need your help, okay? So as you guys might know, traveling is one of my biggest passions in life. I love traveling, I love exploring, and I also love food. So I love combining food and travel together, and I have been dying to go on a trip. Since the pandemic, obviously I haven't left the country, and it's probably the longest I've not traveled internationally in a very long time. So I've been really itching to go somewhere, and I want you guys to potentially come with me on my next big trip. Yes, you heard correctly. I might be doing a trip and you might be able to come with me. So I'm working with a company called Trip, who basically plan these amazing tours around the world, and they're very customized and very individual. And I'm hoping to do some kind of vegan food tour somewhere in the world. I'm very open to different places. Obviously, I want somewhere a little bit more affordable, vegan friendly, fun to travel to, fun to explore, but I'm really open to wherever. I think it'd be so fun to travel with you guys and just eat together, chill, go exploring, and I think we could have so much fun. So if this is something you might be interested in, I have a little survey that's linked down below. It's simply a survey. It's simply to gauge interest, to see how many people might be interested, where you might be interested in going, what you want to do, what your budget is, all kind of stuff. So if you could fill out the survey, that would be really helpful for me to plan a trip. I think that'd be so cool to meet you guys and travel together and eat together and talk veganism together, and I don't know, just chill, have fun, build some friendships around the world. Link is down below, guys, for the survey. Again, it's just a survey and it would help me a lot. So please fill it out if you are interested in potentially coming on a trip with me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now let's jump into the video. Hey guys, it's Rose and welcome back to Cheap Lazy Vegan and another video. So today, guys, I thought I would do a Q&A. I know, we're doing a Q&A. It's been so long since I've done a Q&A on my channel. I do Q&As a lot on Instagram stories. So if you guys want to follow me on Instagram and ask me questions, that's the place to do it. But I thought, hey, it's been a while since I've done a long form Q&A thing on YouTube. So I thought, hey, let's do it. But if you do want to participate in more frequent Q&As, definitely follow me on Instagram at Cheap Lazy Vegan. Anyways, let's just jump in. This is going to be quite random. It's going to be just me chatting, okay? There's me questions about veganism, maybe some personal questions, maybe some life advice. That's something I've been giving out recently. I don't know if you guys want to be taking my advice, but I've been giving out some advice, okay? Yeah, let's see. We got my creatures watching me. We got some animals keeping me company. Okay, so the first question is kind of starting off on a little bit of a sad note, but I thought, this might be helpful to somebody because a lot of people have been through this and I've been through this and a lot of people will go through this. So here it is. Basically, the question is how to deal with a pet loss, dealing with the death of your companion animal. I mean, I've dealt with it. I'm sure so many of you guys have dealt with it, and it's seriously, the pain is inexplicable. A few years ago, my dog Minnie, she passed away suddenly. It was very sudden, not expected, and I was broken. It was the worst pain I've experienced in my life. Anyone that's never had the privilege of having a companion animal may not understand that feeling. You might think it's just an animal, but there's really no reason that your bond with an animal can't be just as strong as a bond with a human. Our companion animals are there with us so often and so much, and sometimes more than our human companions, our family and friends. So it would make sense that we grieve just as much, if more, than the loss of a human. For me, I think the biggest thing was to just let myself grieve, just let myself feel the emotions, go through the crying uncontrollably, let yourself cry until you just can't cry anymore. Just let yourself stay in bed. Look at pictures, whatever you feel like you need to do. In my opinion, just do what you need to do. The way that I go through grief, I kind of sink into the pain. I don't know if that makes sense. I look at the pictures, I look at the videos, I watch Marley and Me or dog movies. I really dig into that nostalgia. That's how I deal with it. And of course I cry like a crazy person. I think about it constantly, and that's how I deal with it. It's gonna hurt for a long time, for longer than you probably want it to hurt for. But eventually, over time, I mean, it's still gonna be sad. It's still gonna be, something that, you don't fully get over it. But I think this is when you know that you're in a better place, is when you start to think of the memories that you've had and you start to smile, and you smile more than you cry, basically. You start to really just reminisce about the good times that you had together, the life that you had together and the bond that you had together. And that is when you kind of know that like, okay, like I'm at a better place now. But in my opinion, you have to let yourself go through the process of feeling extremely sad. You're probably gonna feel guilty. That's very normal. It doesn't mean it was your fault, but you're probably gonna feel guilty. Like I felt so much guilt. I felt so much sadness and guilt when it first happened. And I want you to know that that's not your fault, but it is normal to feel the guilt. It's the worst feeling. Honestly, it's the worst feeling. And anybody that says otherwise doesn't understand the bond between a human and an animal, because that bond is, I mean, it's inexplicable. My God, I'm gonna tear up. Next question. Why did I start off with this question? Okay, running tips for beginners. How long and often have you run before the half marathon? So if you guys don't know, I ran a half marathon like a month ago. Was it a month ago? Maybe a little bit longer than a month ago. And yeah, it was my first half marathon. Woohoo! I ran a half marathon. It's about a little over 21 kilometers. And yeah, that's what I did. Oh my gosh, I know. So running tips for beginners, I feel like a fraud. I'm not like, here's the thing. I never thought of myself as a runner, so it's hard for me to identify as a runner. So it's hard for me to give advice, being like, hi, here's some tips on how to run. Because I don't know, okay? I'm just like a, person that just started running a little bit, and I just decided to challenge myself and do a little half marathon. So basically, I started running kind of in the beginning of the pandemic, maybe a little bit into the pandemic in 2020, like maybe like May or something. I can't remember exactly. So I kind of started running just as a form of exercise because, gyms were closed and, I wanted to exercise. And initially I was just gonna be like, okay, I'm just gonna do a little jog/walk. I'll just go for like 5K if I can and walk sometimes and jog a little bit. That's how it started. Low pressure. I think that's how I would recommend people start. Wherever you are in your like fitness level, just start there, okay? Maybe a little bit more challenging, right? Like you do have to challenge yourself a little bit, but not too much. So if you're not used to moving at all, if you don't even go for walks, maybe start with walking 15 minutes a day. And then you walk a little bit more next week. Then you start to maybe go for a little mini jog/walk. I put very little pressure on myself, and I think that's what made it extra fun for me, because I never thought that I would enjoy running ever, because I never did before. Probably because I put pressure on myself before. It was always something that I kind of forced myself to do, whereas when I started doing it this time around, I kind of like started it without any pressure. Like I was like, okay, I'm just gonna walk/jog, see what I feel like, and then it just built up. So it got easier and easier. So before I knew it, I was, running the whole 5K. And then before I knew it, I started running a little bit more than the 5K, started doing 6K, 7K. One day I just accidentally ran a 10K. Again, one of those days when I was like, I'm just gonna go running. And then I was like, oh, look at this. I don't really feel tired. Ended up running a 10K. Then it started building up. And then that's when I was like, oh, maybe I can do this like half marathon thing. Never thought I would ever do a half marathon. Like seriously, never even considered it. And then when I became like more and more of like a runner, I was like, oh, I could probably do a half marathon. So I did it. So yeah, my advice would be to just start where you are and just build up as you go. You'd be surprised at how fast your body can adjust and how fast your body can improve. So I think that's what's exciting about running for me, is I just felt like it was so easy to see an improvement in, my performance so quickly and without much effort. It seemed like I didn't really have to try so hard. The half marathon was not easy, but running like regularly became easy. So yeah, that's kind of like my tips, I guess. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Do it for fun. Build up as you go. There you go. Next question. Tips on starting a business. I get this a lot. A lot of people ask me, what are your tips on opening a business, starting a business? How did you do it? So if you guys don't know, I own 1.5 businesses. So I have this one, Cheap Lazy Vegan, which is my own business. Yes, it is a business, okay? It's a business. And then I also have a cafe that I co-own with my mom. So we co-own that. That's also a business, okay? And so yeah, I have 1.5 businesses to my name. It's really hard for me to give like generalized tips on having a business or starting a business, because businesses are so different depending on the business, okay? And also because, not that my businesses happened by accident. Obviously I took steps and obviously I worked really hard and all those things, but it's not like I like had this idea, went to get a business license, got the business license, then started like that. Like the way that I started for both businesses was a little bit more unique than that, I guess. In that, for example, with my YouTube channel, I started the YouTube channel not thinking it was a business. It grew into a business because I grew an audience and, you know, I started making a little bit of money and then it built up. I made an ebook, all those things. Then it became a business. So it's not like I, you know, decided to start a business. You know what I mean? Does this make sense? And then same with my cafe. Well, not exactly the same. The cafe was a little bit different. I do have a full video like explaining the whole cafe situation that I filmed like a few years ago. So I'll link that video down below if you guys are interested. But yeah, so I co-owned the vegan cafe with my mom, but initially my mom owned the entire business. So it was a cafe that she bought from somebody else. It was not a vegan cafe, it was just a regular cafe. And long story short, what I did was I got into the business, became like a half owner. I don't know, is that the right term? Became a co-owner, and then I turned the business into a vegan cafe. So basically it became a vegan cafe, but it was already existing. So all I had to do was just kind of like change the things up, change ownership, all those things. So it was like a easier transition rather than like fully, you know, starting things from scratch, if that makes sense. It's hard for me to give advice because every business is different. Like you could start a business in your basement making, I don't know, soaps. You could start an online business like I do, like content creation. You could start a cafe, restaurant, bar, barber shop, whatever it is. All those things are very different. I think a few kind of general, you know, tidbits of advice or knowledge that I've gained is number one, just because you're good at whatever thing that you're good at doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna be good at the business aspect, okay? This is something you have to know and consider. A lot of people think, I'm really great at baking cakes, so I'm gonna make a cake business. It might work to some degree, but to scale it, to make it successful, to make it really profitable, it's gonna take some business knowledge. So maybe taking some sort of business course or marketing course, some kind of course might be helpful. I have a degree in business, so I do think some of that knowledge that I learned in school did help me. You know, marketing knowledge, you know, just in general, like generalized business knowledge. I think it did help me, not like so much maybe, I don't know. It's hard to know, right? Sometimes you learn things, you don't realize you learned it. Anyway, yeah, one thing to remember is that like just because you're really good at like some kind of craft or some kind of thing doesn't mean that you can make it into a viable business. That's one very important thing. Another thing that you need to consider is it is a lot of work, okay? So you're gonna have to spend a lot of time, spend a lot of energy, a lot of effort. You might be sacrificing a lot of your own personal time. And that's not necessarily something that a lot of people are willing to do or want to do. And that's not something that everyone should do. Some people don't want to do that. That's totally fine. Having a business is not for everybody. It really isn't. The world needs business owners and employees and people that just want to work their hours and then that's it. That's great. I think, you know, we need both. Okay, we can't have a world full of business owners. That doesn't work. One of the hardest things about having a business is finding good talent, finding good employees, finding reliable employees. That's a very difficult thing to do. Again, something that, you know, most people need once they start a business. You usually have to have some kind of employee. Why can't I talk? Employees. I don't know. I think, you know, if you really are passionate, if you really want to try it, you have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort and just like do it and see what happens. You're gonna learn things along the way, right? Like nobody knows. Here's the thing. People think that people that own a business know everything. I am still learning things every single day and I still don't feel like I know anything, okay? There's so much learning to do constantly. You're never gonna be done learning, which I think is fun and exciting. So don't ever think that you need to like perfect everything, know everything before you jump into the business. Obviously you need to learn some things. Obviously you have to be somewhat prepared, but you're never gonna be fully prepared for what's gonna come. Shit goes wrong all the time. You have to be able to adapt very quickly when you have a business. Yeah, so I don't know if these are good tips, but there you go. Okay, I think this is a really interesting topic that I feel like we could probably have a little debate in the comment section because I don't even know how I feel about this. But here's the question. Is Nari castrated? Thinking about whether I should castrate my little dog or not. Is it just me or does the term castrated sound like really intense? Is that usually used for humans? I don't know. Maybe it's used for dogs too. I don't know. Anyway, Nari, if you don't know, is my dog, okay? She's my family dog, but she my dog, okay? She lives with my parents, but I'm basically obsessed. The question is Nari spayed? I like to use the term spayed. I think that's That's what we usually use, I think. Nari is spayed. When we adopted Nari, as part of the adoption process, and I believe pretty much every adoption agency probably makes you sign something that says you have to spay or neuter your dog. I think. I could be wrong. Yeah, so you have to. Usually when you adopt a dog or a cat, I think you usually have to agree to spay or neuter the animal. So Nari did get spayed, and I do... Here's the thing. I don't know how I feel about this whole thing. I feel like it raises a lot of questions. It really does bring out our speciesism in a lot of ways. I do believe that the responsible thing to do in this current day and age as the parents of a companion animal is to spay/neuter our pets. The reason I say this is because we have such a problem with overpopulation of dogs and cats, and dogs and cats in today's day and age, they rely on us, especially dogs. They rely on us for survival, to be taken care of. They do need a home. We can't just have dogs and cats just roaming around the streets. We've basically made them dependent on us. I don't know exactly the history of dogs. I find the whole thing very fascinating, but we've made them dependent on us. So it's a problem when we have an overpopulation because we don't have the capacity to take care of all of these animals, and often they suffer greatly as a result. So the responsible thing to do, I think, in this current day and age is to spay and neuter our animals, because, you know, otherwise we're gonna have a lot of unwanted animals just running around and nobody's taking care of them, and it's a really shitty situation. That being said, talk about like speciesism. Like, how controversial would it be for us to do this to humans? I mean, it is, people do this to humans, but it's very controversial when it's humans, right? Because we think human life is like so precious and so amazing. You know, we put such an emphasis on human life. Like, we also have an overpopulation crisis with humans, okay? And I'm not advocating for castration of humans, but at the same time, it's like, we think it's so normal to do it to animals, but then it's like, what about humans? Like, I don't know. It's, is it really right for us to take away the, you know, reproductive organs of our, you know, our companion animals? Like, it is something that I kind of struggle with a little bit, the concept. From a utilitarian perspective, I do think it is good to spay or neuter our companion animals if we cannot take care of them, okay? But I do think it raises a lot of questions. Like, why do we think it's so bad if we do it to humans, right? We don't do that to humans unless they want to, but then we do it so easily to animals without a second thought. It's like, ooh, easily, okay. It's an interesting moral dilemma, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think about this topic? I think it's very controversial, and I think it's very interesting. But I think it raises a lot of interesting, you know, topics to discuss. Do you guys know where I'm getting at? Is it really ethical for us to be making those reproductive decisions? Like, should we even be making those decisions? But then maybe we should be making those decisions for dogs and cats because we've made them reliant on us, that they're our responsibility now. It's not like they're just wild animals that can roam free and not need us to be, you know, happy and safe. So we've made them like reliant on us. So I do think it is important for us to take some kind of responsibility, but at the same time, the idea that we can just, you know, choose for them to take away their reproductive organs just because we decided to make them reliant and dependent on us, a little fucked up a little bit. Yeah. Next question. How do you feel about living alone now? So if you guys don't know, I moved, hence the background, hence the animals on the wall. I am now living alone for the first time. I've never lived alone. It's really strange. So overall thoughts on living alone. I got a lot of questions about this topic. So before I lived with my roommate, I've always had roommates, lived with family or whatever, never lived alone. And this is the first time. Okay, first time living alone. Living alone. In the beginning, like when I first moved, it's been now a bit over a month. Yeah, has it been? A little over a month. And in the very beginning, it was weird, okay? Very weird. I felt a little isolated. I don't know, it did feel really weird. Like, it felt almost a little bit, I don't want to say lonely. I don't think I felt lonely just because I was really busy and stuff anyways, but it felt too quiet almost. It just felt strange and weird. I don't know how to describe it. I felt a little bit like I was isolated, almost like, oh my God, like no one's coming. No one's like, I don't expect anybody. When I live with my roommate, I'm like, okay, she's gonna come home, or like, I don't know, someone's gonna come at some point, okay? But when you live alone, you're just like, I'm just here by myself. Okay. So it was a little bit strange. I ended up listening to a lot more music than I normally do because like, listen, I love music. I listen to it a lot, but before I was fine with like, you know, not having any music on in the background, but now I definitely find myself like putting on more music, more podcasts, more something, some kind of like sound, because like the silence is like, it's so silent. Now I'm definitely a lot more used to it. I don't feel weird anymore. Like I've gotten used to it. I mean, I still play music a little bit more. I still listen to podcasts more, but now I'm pretty used to it now. So not so bad, but I think the important thing that I've learned is to make plans, okay, to actually go see your friends, family. You have to make the effort to actually, you know, go see people, because it's really easy to just kind of get into your little bubble, like your little cave, and just like, you know, like stay there, which I don't think is good, okay? That's not good. So even if you feel a little lazy, even if you want to just stay home, I feel like for, you know, for your best interest, you need to like go out and like actually see people or invite people over, like do whatever, like still remain connected to the world. It's very easy to, I think, like get into like a little cave mentality. That's not good. Are you an introvert, extrovert, or ambivert? So I would say that I'm an ambivert, which is basically like a combination of both. A lot of people, when they see me, they think I'm very extroverted, because like I am pretty extroverted in a sense that like I don't really get like super shy in front of people. Of course I get shy in certain situations, okay? But yeah, I'm pretty like good with meeting new people. I don't have a problem with like chatting with people. If I go to a party, like I can talk to different people. But at the same time, like I think one of the defining characteristics of an extrovert is like you feel more energized by interacting with people, socializing, all that stuff. And for me, I need a little bit of both. I definitely need my alone time. Like I definitely need to just like not talk to anybody, not see anybody. I need to just be like, okay, I need to just like sit in my room, just like, no, don't want to talk to you. Don't even, no. I need that. I need that more frequently than people might think. Yeah, and I think that with COVID, like post-COVID me is a lot more introverted than I used to be. I'm like less inclined to want to see people or talk to people or hang out with people. There's only a certain group of people where I'm like, okay, I want to actually see you and talk to you. Everyone else, I'm like, ugh, no. So I don't know, like I'm definitely a mixture. I think I'm definitely a mixture. Yeah, that's how I am. That's how I am. Next question. Do you think with the way our world currently is, the whole world could be vegan? Oh gosh. Okay, honestly, day by day, I'm losing hope. Okay. You know, here's the thing. If we can somehow like survive this climate crisis, if we can somehow turn things around fast enough to not have this world implode, if we can somehow make this Earth survive, then potentially in many, many, many years, we could potentially have a world where we have mostly a vegan world, essentially, like in terms of industries, okay? Maybe we can completely get rid of industries that exploit animals in many years, okay? I don't know. It's never gonna happen in our lifetime. I've accepted that already, of course. I feel like it's gonna take so long and so many generations. There's so many changes that need to happen. Even if those things happen, I think that we need to also realize that, you know, even if we can get rid of industries, there's still going to be, you know, people that, you know, exploit animals or abuse animals, just like there are people that, you know, exploit humans, abuse humans. So those things still exist. People living outside the law can still exist. But maybe in like thousands of years, if we survive that long, maybe we would become a more evolved species, and we can somehow eradicate these industries that, you know, exploit and oppress animals. But I don't know, guys. Can we survive that long? Can this earth survive through more of this? Because the thing is, there's too many of us now. There's too many humans. We're not doing anything. Like, sure, there's vegans, like great. But the problem is, you know, we need such drastic changes quickly because we've done so much damage to this earth in such a short period of time that I feel like with the climate crisis, it's gonna be so hard to, I don't know, it's hard for me to imagine that this earth can last that much longer without like complete turmoil. Who knows? That's my pessimist side speaking. I really try to be optimistic, but it's hard. It's hard. Oh yeah, it's hard. Continuing on, let's move on. I like this one. What are the top vegan Korean recipes to try for someone new to Korean cooking? That's so cute. I love that. Okay. Guys, here's the thing. Korean food, there is so much. Okay, we got so much variety. I was over at my parents' house the other day and we had a really delicious Korean feast, as we always do. And then I was telling my parents, I was like, you know, it's just amazing. Korean food's amazing because there's so much variety. There's just endless dishes to try and so much that you can easily make plant-based. Some of it is just naturally plant-based. There's so much beyond just, you know, standard what you see. Korean food is just, it has so much history and there's so much variety. One of the things I would definitely try is tteokbokki, which is spicy Korean rice cakes. I don't know anybody that doesn't like tteokbokki. If you can handle the spice, okay? It is a little bit spicy. So that's definitely something that I would recommend, highly recommend. God, there's so much, you guys. I can't pick a few things to try. Oh, kimbap, which is like Korean seaweed rice rolls. Kimbap is really yummy. It's actually quite easy to make, so I would recommend that as well. You can kind of like customize it, make it into whatever you want. Again, I don't really know anybody that doesn't like kimbap, so kimbap is really good. And Koreans, we also love our noodle dishes, so I mean, any of the noodle dishes really. I mean, there's so many delicious noodle dishes to try in Korea. Any kimchi dish, kimchi jjigae, which is kimchi stew. Oh, it is so good. Again, easy to make if you have vegan kimchi available. If you need a vegan kimchi recipe, I will link it down below. If you get me started talking about Korean food, I will not stop, okay? Yeah, I mean, there's also japchae, which is Korean glass noodles. We actually sell that at my cafe, okay? My mom's japchae. My mom's japchae is actually like the best japchae. But yeah, it's endless, guys. It's endless. There's soft tofu stew. Oh my god, it's so good. It's easy to make. I'll link my recipe down below. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with any Korean dish, but those are some good ones that I think are worth trying. Veganism doesn't support all body types. What do you think of this statement? Well, I mean, I would say citation needed. Citation needed. Where is the citation? Listen, I do think that there is a possibility that there are some people, because of whatever reasons, they might not be able to eat a vegan diet because of health for some kind of reason. I think that that is a possibility. Do I think that there are certain body types, like blood types or something, that can't eat a plant-based diet? No, I don't believe that. I don't think there's any evidence for that. Again, there might be certain very fringe cases of people that absolutely just cannot eat a plant-based diet. And I think those would be very, very specific fringe cases. But again, I'm not an expert in this, so I could be totally wrong. But other than those fringe cases, I don't think that there are specific groups of people or types of bodies or blood types that just cannot eat a plant-based diet. I don't think that's true. I don't think there's evidence. I think if there was evidence, we would have seen it already. And as the American Dietetic Association has said, a plant-based diet, a well-planned plant-based diet, is suitable for all stages of life, as long as it is well planned, okay? So they don't mention anything about certain body types not being able to do it. They don't mention anything about certain blood types. So I think that's a bunch of like nonsense that a lot of people want to believe. But again, I don't doubt that there might be like, again, certain fringe people, like few people that might not be able to follow a complete plant-based diet. Other than that, I don't think it's true, and I will not believe that it is true until I see evidence, okay? Next, what is your easiest beginner recipe? I don't even know where to start. I mean, there's so many. Come on, my whole channel is all about easy vegan recipes. I'm gonna link some easy, like beginner friendly recipes down below, but here are some really easy things. Pasta, any sort of pasta. I used to just literally just cook. I mean, I still do this. Just pasta with like store-bought pasta sauce, add in some sort of protein, either like chickpeas, maybe plant-based meatballs, maybe lentils, love me a lentil bolognese, and then just like, you know, make a pasta with some veggies. Great, easy, don't need to be a cook. Another thing I used to make all the time, highly recommend chili. Super nutritious. You can add in lots of veggies, lots of beans. Beans are really good for you. You just put everything into a pot, add a few spices, that's it. There's like 1,000,001 chili recipes. I should probably do an updated chili recipe. There's like 1,000,001 chili recipes that are vegan friendly on the internet. Chili, really easy, one pot, make a big bulk of it, eat it throughout the week. Other things that are really easy, wraps, sandwiches, chickpea salad, sushi bowls, burrito bowls, any sort of Buddha bowls, any sort of soup. Again, one pot, easy. What else? What's another thing I used to make all the time? People eat oatmeal a lot. I no longer eat oatmeal that much, but oatmeal is also really easy to, you know, make, prepare. We all know it. It's great, fantastic. Stir fries. Oh my God, stir fries. So easy. You just need a good sauce recipe. There's millions of different sauces you could try. You just add in, you know, maybe some beans, maybe some tofu, tons of veggies, eat it with rice. Simple, easy. Great. Okay, final question. How to deal with Vystopia. Have you guys heard of this term? This is my first time hearing this term. Let me actually read you what the definition is. Vystopia, the anguish of being vegan in a non-vegan world. Fascinating. I guess there's a book by someone called Claire Mann. Anyways, I've never heard of that term, but I think it's real, man. Like Vystopia, it's so real. Being vegan in a non-vegan world is the hardest part about being vegan. It's not actually like eating the vegan food. It's about being vegan in a non-vegan world. If everyone around us was vegan, it would not be an issue. We would not have any issues, okay? But because the world is not vegan, that's what makes it difficult. So, how to deal with Vystopia. Number one thing, realize that being vegan is not your only personality trait. It's not a personality trait at all, actually. You are a multifaceted human being. We are all very different. Every vegan is different from one another. Just because we share the one commonality does not make us a monolith. It's not the only trait that defines us. It's not the only thing that defines us. It's not the only thing that interests us. It's not the only thing that we're passionate about. There are other things, okay? So we can relate with the world in different ways. Not necessarily with veganism, but in different ways. I still have tons of friends that are not vegan. I have my family that's not vegan because I don't only see the world as a vegan. Like, I see the world as a woman. I see the world as a Korean. I see the world as so many different things, not just a vegan. Try to recognize that. Try to, not just see yourself as a vegan going against the world, because we can relate with the world in different ways. We're still human beings. We're still daughters and sons and sisters and brothers and friends. So we're not just vegans. That's not the only thing that defines us. I would say the second thing that might help is to understand that people are not evil. I mention this all the time because I think it's important. Because I think it's something that, especially when you first go vegan, you actually might think, oh my God, is everyone evil? Why does nobody want to go vegan? Why don't people want to change? Why don't people want to change the world? Why do people want to participate in such destructive industries and participate in animal abuse? Are they evil? Do they hate animals? Are they animal abusers? All kinds of thoughts go through your head. Now, I've been vegan for a while now. I think that I've come to realize over the years that people are not inherently evil. They're not inherently good either. I feel like we're just a product of our world. We are molded by the society that we are born into, okay? So people that were born in, the 1920s, okay? Probably very racist people. If most of us were born in 1920, we probably would also be racist. Does that mean that we are inherently bad or good? No. It just means that we were molded in that society. Now, this is why it's important to change the society to be better. And it's good to have outside thinkers like us that are willing to lead the change so that, in the future, we can have a better world, right? But most people, they want to blend in. They just want to, they just know what they know. They're born into the society. They know what's accepted. They know what's socially accepted. They know what's the social norm, and they're just following the social norm. I don't believe that people are evil or bad because they still continue to eat animal products. I think everyone is so different in so many ways. Some people are a lot more adaptable to change. Some people are able to change easily. Some people are not. Some people are really stubborn. Some people are not. Some people are more open-minded. Some people are not. So I think that's one thing that might help with the Vystopia a little bit, because I think it's really hard to see the world as this evil place. That's a very difficult life to live if you think everyone around you is just evil. I don't think you can live a good life like that. Human beings are very complicated. We're very complex creatures. So that's the thing. Another thing that I would say is to try to live as normally as possible. I don't know how to say this, but try to still, again, be a normal member of society. You don't have to isolate yourself because you're vegan, because like I said, being vegan is not the only thing that defines us. You can still relate to other people in so many different ways. You can still socialize, you can still, go to work, you can still go to restaurants, do all these different things. So I would ask you to still strive to do all of those things that you used to do before you went vegan. Just still be a member of society. I think that's one great way to influence other people, in a positive way. Even if they might not go vegan, they might consider things differently. They might think of things differently. They might open up their minds a little bit. They might eat more vegan meals. They might think about things that they never thought about before. Also, when they see you living a normal, healthy, happy life, that's one of the best ways to promote veganism. It's hard to feel normal. I know it's hard. And the Vystopia is real, man. It's real. It's really hard. That being said, I also think it's important to find some sort of support network, whether it's online, preferably a little bit in person. Maybe you can find some vegan friends through a meetup, or there might be a vegan potluck somewhere at your university. Maybe you can attend some kind of, vegan event, meet people there, or online. You know, if all else fails, there are so many vegan like groups online that you could meet people at. That's one way that you can feel still, you know, like there is, you know, a group of people that understands you, that gets it, you know, that you can, you know, vent to. So that way you don't feel so isolated and so alone in your vegan thoughts and your vegan world. Yeah. So hopefully that makes sense. And that brings us to the end of the video. Hopefully this was interesting. I feel like all the questions I answered were really random. I don't know. Is that something that you like? Or do you want more like structured questions? Like maybe you want like a more personal section and like a more vegan section and advice section. I don't know. Maybe that's something that you might appreciate. Let me know if that's something that you do want in the future. And if you want more Q&As. Anyway, make sure you follow me on Instagram. Ask me questions there. It's at cheaplazyvegan. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you guys don't know, I have a podcast with my friend Daniel where we chat about trending topics and all kinds of things. So if you want to check out our podcast, it's called the SaVeg Podcast. We also have a YouTube channel where we record a video form of the podcast. So I'll link that down below, as well as more information about the podcast. And guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!